Here's your wrestling news for February 9th, 2023, and we're kicking off with AEW, and if you've watched an MJF promo, you'll know that nothing is off the table for the AEW World Champion, who was in top form on last night's Dynamite. In his first match in 2 months, MJF defeated Konosuke Takeshita in a hard-hitting match that left his opponent busted open and had some choice words afterwards. Speaking to Lexi Nair, MJF recalled receiving oral sex from a girl while they were driving, and the act caused MJF to crash the vehicle, seemingly killing the girl. Max recalled seeing the girl's lifeless body next to him, her blood on his clothes, and recalled swapping their positions to make the cops think that the girl was the one driving. Perhaps the most interesting part of this dark story was the name given to the girl, as MJF said that for legal reasons she was called Liv, a reference to WWE's Liv Morgan. Morgan's name was trending on Twitter due to the promo, and given that the story was about a young woman killed in a car accident due to a wrestler, Katie Vick was also trending, with fans comparing how horrible MJF is in comparison to Triple H. While the two are in different companies, Morgan and MJF were photographed together last year, and Morgan said in an interview with the Metro that they have a lot in common. On Twitter, MJF would even share an old photo of himself with the same blue Camaro in the story. And what did you make to this interesting promo? Sound off in the comments. MJF had plenty to say during Dynamite, but Bryan Danielson let his in-ring work speak for itself, earning a shot at the AEW World Champion. For weeks, Danielson has had to remain undefeated to earn a title match against MJF, dispatching of Konosuke Takeshita, Brian Cage, and Timothy Thatcher along the way. This week, Danielson got his final victory over Roosh, and not only earned a title match at Revolution, but it will be a 60-minute Iron Man match against MJF. Post-match, MJF attacked the bruised and battered Danielson, vowing that he won't make it to Revolution, but the American Dragon will get his title match on March 5th. MJF isn't just the world champion, but the Devil is on the cusp of making his acting debut as part of the upcoming Iron Claw biopic. Speaking to the WTF podcast this week, MJF confirmed that he is just filming for the Von Erich film and confirmed that he will be playing Lance Von Erich in his debut role. Despite the name, Lance wasn't a real Von Erich, but somebody brought in to boost the family's numbers, and it'll be interesting to see how he fares in his debut acting role. During this week's Raw, Brock Lesnar made an appearance on the Red Brand and continued his feud with Bobby Lashley. After challenging the Almighty to a match at the Elimination Chamber, Lesnar dropped his rival with a series of F5s, but how did his appearance on the show come about? Fightful Select reports that Lesnar was not listed internally for the show, but his presence backstage was not hidden either, and initially there had been plans for a segment with Austin Theory. Instead of receiving a beating from the Beast, Theory instead was on commentary for the US title elimination qualifier between Elias and Montez Ford, which the latter won. While Lesnar vs. Lashley is seemingly the plan for Elimination Chamber, many still believe a match between the two for WrestleMania will happen, so we'll just have to see how their bout next Saturday sets up a sequel in Los Angeles. Right now, Cody Rhodes is the #1 babyface on Raw and perhaps in the entire WWE, and has been a good guy since his return to WWE last April. All throughout his run with AEW, fans called on Rhodes to turn heel, something that ultimately never happened, but things may be different in the American Nightmare's new home. During his Wrestling with Freddie podcast, Scooby-Doo actor and former WWE writer Freddie Prinze Jr. discussed Cody's promo with Paul Heyman, which may have sowed the seeds for an eventual heel turn. Paul is just at a whole different level. It's like making a deal with the devil every time he speaks to a wrestler, and he's going to test your morality as a babyface because you're always going to be a babyface if you're in the ring with Paul Heyman. There's an interesting moment where Cody was almost nodding along, and it made me think like this could be the moment they go back to if Cody turns heel too soon. Now, I'm not saying that's what they're going to do. I'm not saying that's what they should do. I think that was actually the most powerful part of the promo was that little sprinkling of doubt that Heyman always layers in there. He's just a stud, man. It's worth remembering that Cody has been a heel in the past and was a heel for the majority of his first run in WWE, so it's certainly a role that he could excel in. With that said, Rhodes has said in previous interviews that his days as a heel are over and he always wants to be a role model to his daughter. But do you believe a Rhodes heel turn should happen? And how would you book it? Cody's emotional war of words with Heyman has been heralded as one of the best segments WWE has done in quite some time on Raw, but not everybody is a fan. While speaking on the Last Ref and Rant, former WWE official Jimmy Korderas spoke about how this segment took away from the other story for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, namely the one between Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn. They've done a great job to promote the Sami Zayn vs. Roman Reigns match at Elimination Chamber, but now everyone is looking past that and looking forward to Cody Rhodes instead of looking at the Sami Zayn-Roman Reigns match, which the setup for that has been gold as well. Maybe they should have just saved that moment for the Raw after Chamber. WWE's big task right now is to balance having two naturally over popular babyfaces, Zayn and Rhodes, as the last thing WWE needs is for Zayn's popularity to cause fans to turn on Cody. Do you agree with Korderas' criticism? And do you think this promo between Rhodes and Heyman should have been held off? Let us know what you think in the comments. Earlier this week, Jerry Lawler suffered a serious health issue, which at first was believed to be a stroke. It was later clarified by Bill Apter, who spoke to a member of Lawler's family personally, that the King did not suffer a stroke, but instead had an issue with his carotid artery. And we've received an update from another legendary commentator. Taking to Twitter, Jerry's old broadcast partner Jim Ross said that he briefly spoke with the King, whose prognosis is positive. Ross said that Lawler is feeling weak and his speech has been affected, but that he could be understood, and asked fans for their thoughts and prayers for the King. In a tweet of their own, the official account for Lawler added that his speech is limited, but with sufficient rehabilitation, he is expected to make a full recovery. The teaming of JR and Lawler are considered by many to be the greatest commentary duo in history, and it's great that they're still in communication. And we're keeping the King in our thoughts at this time. Over the past year, WWE has made a ton of changes to its roster, with several released superstars being rehired. The Smackdown brand is looking much different than what it was a year ago, or even 6 months ago, but who are the top faces and heels? Thanks to a leaked internal roster obtained by PW Insider, we have the answer, and it should come as no surprise that Roman Reigns is the #1 heel. Behind him, Karrion Kross takes the mantle as second top heel, with Solo Sikoa, Gunther, and LA Knight rounding out the top 5. For the faces, Sami Zayn may be popular, but WWE sees Bray Wyatt as their top face on SmackDown, with Sami taking second place. Drew McIntyre, Braun Strowman, and Rey Mysterio round out the top 5 faces on the blue brand. And do you agree with WWE's internal roster? Let us know in the comments. It's been 10 years since Seth Rollins made his WWE main roster debut, but the former Universal Champion was wrestling long before he was part of The Shield. While some WWE superstars come to WWE after a career in football, Rollins was honing his skills on the indies as Tyler Black, and has now had some strong words for the players on the gridiron. Speaking to Sports Illustrated, Rollins was asked whether he thinks NFL players or WWE superstars are tougher, and though he had plenty of respect for football stars, he believes the answer is obvious. Professional wrestlers, no doubt about it. Do you need a reason why? I mean, we do this year-round. We don't get no breaks, baby. We're doing it all the time. No season, no off-season, no recoup, no rehab, none of that. We don't got the trainers, we don't got the staff the NFL's got. Absolutely, pro wrestlers are tougher, no doubt about it. Both being a football player and a WWE superstar are physically demanding jobs, and there's no doubt you have to be tough to last in either profession, but which role do you think is the toughest? In April 2020, WWE released Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson not long after Triple H had persuaded the pair to re-sign with WWE over offers from other promotions. Now the pair are back in WWE, and the game is making amends for what happened years ago by granting the two some very special privileges. Speaking on the Matt Hardy Extreme Life podcast, Sean Ross Sapp said that the Good Brothers weren't present at last month's Royal Rumble event and explained why, saying, "In their new deals they said, if you're not going to use us, we don't want to be there. Just don't send us there. With all due respect, we will do our jobs, but we don't want to be there for not being used." And WWE said, okay. Traditionally, WWE has wanted all talent present at shows, especially for an event like the Royal Rumble, where replacements in the Rumble match may be needed. It's been reported that Gallows and Anderson are under 5-year deals with WWE now that they're back, and the pair will be able to take things far easier than many on the WWE roster. Earlier this month, the wrestling world lost leaping Lanny Poffo, who most fans will know for his heel run as the Genius. Speaking on his Hall of Fame podcast this week, Booker T gave his condolences to the Poffo family and added that Lanny had only recently been filming content for WWE's Most Wanted Treasures on A&E. As to whether the footage will make it to TV now, who's to say, but we at Slatrock would like to continue extending our deepest sympathies to Poffo's family, friends, and those who knew him at this sad time. More from AEW, as Ricky Starks has gotten over organically with the AEW fans and had an impressive, if unsuccessful, showing last December in MJF's first world title defense. Unfortunately for Starks, he was unable to dethrone the Salt of the Earth, and he's now feuding with Chris Jericho. The former FTW champion took on Jericho's henchman in a Garcia Guevara gauntlet on the latest edition of Wednesday Night Dynamite, but started strong, making quick work of Angelo Parker and Daniel Garcia. When Sammy Guevara's music hit, Daniel Garcia came out instead, and a masked individual in an Acclaimed shirt attacked Starks from the crowd. This attack gave Garcia all the advantage he needed to get the win over Starks, and the masked man revealed himself to be Jericho. Are you excited to see this feud? And who do you think should come out on top in this war between Starks and Jericho? And we're ending today with the Acclaimed, whose 140-day reign as AEW World Tag Team Champions has come to an end. On last night's Dynamite, the pair lost the titles to the Guns after Colton hit Anthony Bowens with a title belt while the referee was down, allowing Austin to get the roll-up pin. This marks the first taste of gold for the Guns since arriving in AEW, and it's clear that not everybody loves the Acclaimed, as seen on this week's Dynamite.